You can make a case for the Jets as being the worst team in the NFL last year, or the Browns, maybe the Titans. Arizona was pretty awful. I think the Las Vegas Raiders may well have been the single worst team in the NFL last year. And here's the embarrassment of it. I picked the Raiders to go over their season win total last year in Pete Carroll's first and only season as their head coach. I was dead wrong about the Raiders last year. Let's see if I can do better with my Las Vegas Raiders prediction for 2026. Teddy covers, wagertalk.com. And you guys know me. I tell you if I get it right. I tell you if I get it wrong. I'm not trying to pretend to be something I'm not. That being said, I've been doing win totals, NFL win totals for the last 25 years. I'm 105, 56, and 3, 65% over a 25-year sample size. I'm 17 and 5, 77% with the 5% big tickets. And we've got the win report up and available for 2026 right now. And again, the Raiders were on the win report last year and they lost. I've never had back-to-back losing seasons with my NFL win report. Take $50 off. Promo code Teddy50 at checkout. The win report's $199. The full season is $599. If you want the full season, Teddy50 at checkout. Every play from week 1 of the preseason through the Super Bowl, nothing more to buy, no bait and switch nonsense. Again, Teddy50 at checkout gets you $50 off. $549 for the full season, including the win report, or $199 for the win report right now. Again, wt.buzz/TC, or just visit wagertalk.com. So the Raiders were awful last year. Absolutely awful. Now they got a rookie QB. And in there, we don't know if it's going to be Mendoza or Kirk Cousins behind center. From all indications, Cousins has a chance to be the starting QB, and has a chance to be the starting QB for a while. When we look at a lot of in the modern history of the NFL, it's really mixed between quarterbacks who were thrown in the fire and quarterbacks who had a year or more to sit. If Clint Kubiak has his way, Kirk Cousins starts every game for the Raiders this year, and Fernando Mendoza doesn't see a snap until 2026. Now, will that actually be the case? Well, a lot of that has to depend on whether Cousins can stay healthy, and that has a lot to do with whether the Raiders' offensive line can block anyone this year, something they couldn't do a year ago. And then really interesting, because interesting is not the right word, but there's legitimate variance on the Raiders right now. You can get them over 5.5 wins and lay some juice. You can play them over 6.5 wins at a plus price. And again, with season-long bets, I don't mind laying juice. I'd rather lay juice to turn a loser into a winner. That extra half game or that extra game does matter. So if I would play the Raiders over, I play them over 5.5. I'm playing the Raiders under. I'm playing them under 6.5. That's the beauty of having more than one book, is you can line shop. That's why I moved to Las Vegas in 1998 and lived here ever since. Lots of variance between one book and the next here in Sin City. So the Raiders have been pretty bad. I mean, 6 wins, 8 wins, 4 wins, 3 wins the last 4 years. No playoff appearances, no close to playoff appearances. Clint Kubiak, the new head coach, comes over from Seattle. The questions about his low-key personality, whether he's a leader or not. He can call plays. He hired offensive line coach Rick Dennison, who is a impact OL coach. They brought in Tyler Lindenbaum as their key free agent signing from the Baltimore Ravens. Mike McCoy is now the assistant head coach, another guy with NFL coaching experience. Andrew Janocko is the offensive coordinator. Rob Leonard will be his first-time defense coordinator. So there's some experience on this staff, but a lot of new coaches in new roles. You like Dennison as the offensive line coach, but OC, DC, very much for the Raiders this year. Guys who are going to have to prove themselves, and obviously Kubiak's not a guy with any previous head coaching experience. You take Mendoza with the number 1 pick and Kirk Cousins, that gives you a solid QB rotation. If Cousins gets hurt, you have Mendoza. If Mendoza gets hurt, you have Cousins. You're all right at that position. And of course, Mendoza as the number 1 overall pick is clearly a guy with some talent. That being said, you look at Cam Ward in Tennessee. It's not like the Titans have been winning games in bunches since he got there. And oftentimes, number 1 overall picks, the reason they're number 1 overall pick is because you're going to a really bad team. It takes a little while. Lots of holes for the Raiders. When it comes to the offensive line, I mean, this is a weak line protecting the number 1 overall pick. Colton Miller only played 4 last year. Lindenbaum at center is a solid addition, but there's not, other than Miller and Lindenbaum, there's nothing but questions on an offensive line that was lousy a year ago. You look at the talent, skill and talent. Ashton Junty, a solid rookie season last year, but again, you're spending draft capital on a running back in the first round. That's a win now move. Raiders aren't winning now. So that being judged, he's a talent. Brock Bowers is a talent at tight end. The receiving core, wide receivers, I mean, Jalen Naylor's the big free agent signing. I don't love this receiving core. I don't love the playmaking weapons surrounding Cousins, even with Junty and Bowers, who are two bet-on guys from a skill position talent standpoint. So offensively, again, we have questions about the offensive line. We don't love the receiving core. Cousins looked washed last year. Was it the year before? Cousins hasn't got a whole lot of playing time. Cousins hasn't looked great. And I don't know if he's going to stay in a 17-game season. Mendoza's a rookie. This is not an offense primed to light up the scoreboard, even in Clint Kubiak, a coordinator who we like, a former coordinator who we like now as a head coach, an offensive mind. I don't see the Raiders scoring points in bunches. This is not a bet on offense. Before I talk about the defense and the schedule, I do want to talk about this Survivor contest. It's cool, guys. $21 million is the prize pool at splashsports.com. Splashsports.com/wagertalk, password wagertalk. Easy to remember. Again, splashsports.com/wagertalk, password wagertalk. It's a $1,000 Survivor contest. I recognize this is not a contest for everyone. But if you're interested, this is a cool contest. 21 million guaranteed, up to 150 entries allowed per person. It's available in 35 plus states and Canada. And I'm in Nevada, one of the states that's not allowed. Big deal. I signed up in another state. You can drive to California. It's a half hour away. Arizona's 40 minutes. Boom. Sign up. Get everything situated. Come back to Nevada. You're good all year. So $1,000 to get in. Splashsports.com/wagertalk. Password wagertalk is going to get you $100 back. Choose another contest or quick picks, whatever you like to do with it. And you can cash out. You can sell your entry. You can buy into an entry. There's a marketplace. That should be really cool. I can't wait to check it out. Again, splashsports.com/wagertalk. Compete against me and a whole bunch of WagerTalk cappers in this $21 million guaranteed contest. So the Raiders offense doesn't look real good. What about the defense? Let's see. They traded Matt Crosby, and then he failed his physical. Now they're stuck with Matt Crosby and a bad physical. And we love Matt Crosby from Maxx Crosby. From an effort standpoint, he's blue collar as it gets. If there's one breakout star since the Raiders moved to Las Vegas, maybe Maxx Crosby for this team. He's the only one who's actually got some fan support. But he's coming off a failed physical. That's a concern. They drafted defense, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker as free agent linebackers, Kwity Paye that helps the pass rush. They've rebuilt the secondary. They could start two rookies. Much like the offense, this is not a good defense. All right, it may be better, but it's not good. I don't even think it's mediocre. Question marks everywhere. The pass rush, the linebacking core isn't great. Everyone's lots of new faces and new places. You have a first-year, first-time coordinator. You have a secondary that has holes. Mediocre is not good enough. Yeah, I think it's a bad defense. And when you have an offense like the Raiders have and a defense like the Raiders have, let's see. Last year, they were the worst yards per carry rushing, number 32, and that's with Junty. They were number 27 in yards per pass attempt passing. That's a concern. Defense was tied for number 2 in yards per rush allowed. So they actually did a good job against the run last year. I'm not convinced the defense is going to do that well this year against the run. The schedule last year was brutal. Third hardest schedule a year ago. And this year, the schedule is a notch or two easier than that, but it's not way easier than that. Not the Raiders are like, oh, yeah, they got a cakewalk, especially not in a division that has some pretty quality foes. Kansas City's arrows pointed upward, obviously, and Denver and the Chargers are both legit contenders, not just to win the division, but to win the Super Bowl. Raiders, many years we see them flying back and forth across the country. This is not a bad year schedule-wise for the Raiders in terms of multiple early start East Coast games. That being said, the league rarely does the Raiders any favors when it comes to scheduling standpoint. This year, no different. In terms of being in the right place at the right time, we're going to see the Raiders buried. The national TV appearances just aren't there. Lots of 1 o'clock starts on the East or 10 o'clock starts here in Vegas. And the Raiders, a team that the NFL not expecting much from in 2026. Neither am I. If I'm playing the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm going to find a 6.5 and play them under. the total. This does not look like a team primed for an immediate turnaround in Clint Kubiak's first season as head coach. Thanks so much for watching Wager Talk TV, guys. Take advantage of that special offer. Again, splashsports.com/Wager Talk, password Wager Talk. Visit my homepage, www.buzz/TC. Just go to wagertalk.com. The likes, the comments, the follows make all the difference. What do you think about the Raiders? Tell us below. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned right here on this channel for more team preview videos powered by Wager Talk.